What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 5 tips and tricks for Revit. We're going to be talking about overhead elements in floor plans, visibility. We're going to be talking about saving families the right way. We're going to be talking about the on-off void parameter for families, something that's difficult yet feasible. And also 3D sweeps, as well as changing dimension lines and changing those actual numbers on the dimension lines. And if you like these tips and tricks videos, tell me in the comment section below, and maybe we can make it like a weekly segment where I share 5 tips and tricks for Revit. And also, before I get started, I would just like to ask you to like this tutorial. It helps me out a lot, and if you haven't already, I suggest you subscribe because I make tutorials like this every week. And also, if you want to get some of my advanced courses, I've got 12 of them already. They're all over an hour long. Check out my Patreon, first link in the description. There you can get access to all of my project files as well. So first link in the description, you can get access to all of that. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, and overhead elements. So maybe you have some kitchen cupboards or something like that that's on the wall and you don't really see it in the floor plan, but you want to have some sort of a dashed line that represents that it's there in the floor plan. So let's explore how do you do something like that in Revit. So first, let's start a new family. Here I am in Revit, and I'm just going to go here to families, new. And this being a kitchen element, it's usually wall hosted, so I'm just going to find a generic model and I'm going to find wall based. So here we go, metric generic model wall based. I'm using the metric library. You can use Imperial if that's what you choose. So I'm just going to open this up. Let's wait for a second for Revit to respond. And there we go. So this is the placement side. So let's go to the placement side of that wall. So here we have a regular wall. As you can see, it's around 3 meters tall, and usually the cut plane in Revit, and I'm just going to represent it with this model line, it's usually going to be at 1,200 millimeters or 1.2 meters. Sometimes it's at 1 meter, sometimes it's at 1.2. So it's usually at this height. But let's say you have some kitchen element that's over here above that, and you want to still be able to see it in the floor plan. So how do you set that up? So first, let's create that element. So first, I'm just going to go here to extrusion, and let's do a simple kind of a cupboard. Let's make sure that the distance from the floor is something large, like 1700, and the whole height of this, yeah, let's go with 800. Okay, so and for the width, let's do it at both sides at, I don't know, let's do 300. So it's a simple cupboard, nothing fancy, something like this. Now I'm just going to give it a little offset, so to make it a box, so I'm just going to go with a 30 millimeter or 20 millimeter offset, just like this, and do a rectangle on the inside. Now the way I flip it from the outside to the inside is just by hitting the space key. And I'm just going to place it like this. Okay, so we've got our little rectangle, hit finish, go here into reference level, and of course you can't see it because it's above. So what we can do is just change our view range. So just type in VR for view range, and here for the cut plane, make sure that it's above 3 meters, so just so we can see everything. Hit apply. There we go. Okay, so this is on the wrong side, as you can see, so I'm just going to flip it to the right side, attach it like that. Maybe you can lock it in place, it doesn't really matter that much. And let's say it's some sort of a cupboard like this. So it's going to be here on the placement side, just like that on the wall. Now let's go back to the placement side. Here we go. Here's our cupboard. Now let's just do the kind of the door. So just go to create, extrusion. I'm going to set the work plane to pick a plane, and then just set it here on the top. And let's just close this off, just like that. Okay, let's go finish, just back to the floor plan just to adjust it. So I'm just going to start a few millimeters off, maybe 3, and here finish off at something like this. Okay, there we go. And if we go into 3D, this is what we have. So we've got that little kitchen element. Now here I've got this line, and I'm just going to delete it. Now, if you go to the floor plan, in this case we see it, but if we go to VR or view range and we set it up at what it should be, and usually it's 1200 millimeters, hit apply, we can't see our cupboard. So how do you fix that? Well, what you need to do is, let's go back into VR, set it to 3000 just so we can work with this project. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is go here to annotate, find symbolic lines, and here for symbolic lines we have, let's see what we have. So let's go with hidden lines, and let's go with cut. And I'm just going to go, as you can see, it's a dashed line, so I'm just going to create a dashed line that goes just like that. There we go. Now we can select all of these lines, so you just hover over one of them, hit tab, select all of them, go to visibility settings, and just make sure that they are all represented at each level of detail. Or perhaps you can uncheck coarse if you don't want to have them visible in coarse. Okay, so once we have this, we need one more thing, and that's we need Revit to register this thing once it is inside of our model. So if it's cutting through here, it won't be able to see it. So in order to have Revit figure out that it's visible, what you need to do is go here to Insert, or Create, sorry, go to Model Lines, and here for the subcategory, use Invisible Lines. And just do one line that goes from the top all the way to the bottom. And there we go. Now you can select it, and as you can see, it's an invisible line, but when you load it into the project, it won't be visible. So this invisible line will just allow you to see your family. Now let me just go and load this into the project, and here, as you can see, I'm just going to go New, Project, and let's do the architectural project. There we go. Once here, let's place a wall on which we're going to be hosting our family. There we go. And now let's take this family, go load into project. So just go here, load into project, and let's place it here. And as you can see, it has that hidden line. So it's that dashed line that we have over here. Now, this being a certain level of detail, you can't see it very well, but when we flip to 50, now we can see it better. Now you can add additional lines if that's something you want, but there you go. That's how you set it up. So that's how you have these overhead elements that are visible. And this is because here, if I go into VR, as you can see, it's cutting at 1200 millimeters, as it usually does. Now, moving on to tip number 2, and just to show you why we had to do that invisible line, let me go back into this family. Let me just delete this thing, and let's see how will it work without that invisible line. But one more thing that I'm going to do, let's save this family. So if I go here to File, Save, and I'm just going to save it on my desktop, and let's call it New Family, or Overhead Family. There we go. And if I just hit Save here, okay, it's saved, load into project, and here, as you can see, I can place it. And now it appears as this regular thing, but we don't have that dashed line. So it looks like it's actually being cut, but we don't want it to have it cut. And this is another thing that I wanted to share with you, and that's the fact that when you create these families, actually when you create them and you don't save them, you just load them into the project as we did with this one, it remembers it as family 1, and it becomes part of the project as family 1. And then when you save that family and you want to load it back into the project, it appears as a second family. So if we go here into our components, you're going to notice that we have both this overhead family and family 1. Here we go. So it's looking at this thing as two separate families, and usually you shouldn't work like this. Usually you want to place this family and then make some adjustments, work on that family, and then just update the family. So if I want to update this family, I can go back here, go back to placement side, do again that that invisible line, just like this. There we go. Load into project, override. And now it should be invisible. Let's see why it isn't. Okay, it's set at a different height. There we go. Let's go back. Let's see. Let me just go to south elevation. Okay, this one should be going a bit lower. There we go. Now, as you can see, it's regularly visible. Okay, moving on to tip number 3, and that's how you can create void on-off parameter. So let's go back to this family that we have over here, and let's say we want to create a window inside of this door, and we want that window to be a parameter so we can flip it on and off depending on what we want to have. So here for this family, if I select any of this geometry, so as you can see, I can select maybe this this door, and here I can go to visible, create a new parameter, let's call it a door parameter, hit OK, OK again, and now if I go here to family types, we have a door parameter. I can uncheck it, and now it goes gray, so that means when I load it into the project, this thing won't be visible. So I can do that, but let me just flip it back on. But if I want to create a void inside of this door that I can turn on and off, and if I go here to create, void forms, void extrusion, set work plane, pick a plane, there we go, let's pick this side, and let's do a little window, hit finish. Okay, so as you can see, the window is cutting through our family, but if I select it and I want to create that on-off parameter, as you can see here in the properties, it's not possible. So how do you create a void that can be turned on and off? Well, a simple solution to that is to just select the void, go here, and for the extrusion end, create that as a parameter. So I'm just going to call it void on off, even though it's going to be a dimension parameter. I'm just going to call it on off, hit OK, OK again, and now it's turned on. And here, if I go and if I change this into -1 millimeter, hit apply, the void is going to be on the outside and we're not having a hole anymore. So you can use that to create kind of a little parameter that's going to be cutting through your project. So it needs to be positive at least, I don't know, like 20 millimeters to cut through this thing, and it needs to be negative if you don't want to have that window. So you can still have your on-off parameter, it's just a bit of a workaround. You can't really do the on-off switch. Moving on, next, how to do sweeps. So here, if you go to create, you go to sweeps. As you can see, if you go to sketch path, you can go here and you can basically sketch any path. Now, if I go and orbit around, as you can see, this path is in 2D, but let's say you want to have a 3D path for your sweep. So how do you do that? Well, you need to have some existing geometry like we do over here, and then here what we can do is we can go with pick lines, and then we can go set work plane, pick a plane. Let's pick this plane, so I can go pick plane, this one. Let's do that one. Then I can go set, pick a plane. Let's see. Let me just cancel out of this. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you need to go to pick path and then pick 3D edges. Sorry, so that's the thing. So you go here, then you go down, then you can go, I don't know, you can go back into the wall, just like that. And then you just hit finish. Okay, continue. We need to go trim and extend. So just TR, trim and extend this, that, this, hit finish. And now you can add a profile. So for the profile, I'm just going to add a simple circle, just like that, and then when you hit finish, there you go. You've got your 3D sweep on your family. Okay, and one more thing before we finish this tips and tricks tutorial. The final tip is going to be on changing the dimension line. So whenever you create a dimension line in Revit, so let me go here to the project. Let's go to level 1, and let's say we want to dimension these. Just go here to align the dimension. Let's do this. Let's see, okay, the distance is 1200. So let's say you want to change that, you want to cheat a little bit, you don't want to say actually 1200. If you go and just double click here on the dimension, you can go replace with text. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm going to write in 1400 here and hit apply. Well, it's not going to allow you to do that. But what you can do is you can type in some text. For example, let's say, or maybe no less than 1 meter. And then you can hit apply. Okay, and there we go. So it says no less than 1 meter. So you can have something like that, but you can't actually change the number. And you can just add some text, or maybe add some information like that over here. Okay, so that includes this quick little tips and tricks tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope you have learned something new. If you want to learn more tips and tricks like that in advanced courses, again, as I said, check out first link in the description. I've got 12 advanced courses out so far, and I upload new ones each week. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.